everybody, it's Liz from Grow Your Mindset, and I'm here with our next Mindset and You interview. Again, lucky to be coming at this from a business angle rather than our normal educational focus. A few weeks ago, we interviewed Nick Ashcroft from the Cooperative Bank, and we're very lucky today to have the Head of Customer Services, Sally McEvoy, who is going to talk to us about her experiences in developing growth mindset across her business. So, welcome, Sally. Can you introduce yourself and outline your current role for us?
Yes, okay. So my name's Sally McEvoy, as Liz said. I work for the Cooperative Bank and I have done for about 6 years now. Previously, I worked for the Royal Bank of Scotland. So I've been in the financial industry now for 32 years. I know I don't look old enough, but that's the truth. My current role, I'm responsible for the support and nurture of around 650 colleagues working in different aspects in the organisation, from telephony work through to operational work. And one of the great pleasures I've got is actually owning a lot of our customer end-to-end journeys, so that I've got a real responsibility to improve those and support our colleagues, support our customers throughout those journeys.
Brilliant. So from the days when you worked in the branches, which were many years ago, I remember when you were in the NatWest, what made, pardon?
Don't rub it in.
What made you want to work within the customer services sector itself?
So when I started in the branches, that was probably your way into the organisation, and I really enjoyed the branch work. But with all large organisations, they go through rationalisation, and we went through a centralisation process where all of the functions in the branches were taken into central offices, made it more efficient, more economical, and meant that you could give a far more consistent service to customers. And at that point, when the bank decided to do that, I decided that I would like to go and give it a go in working in a central office rather than a branch. I felt that my opportunities in the organisation were curtailed by working in a branch network, and thought a central office might give me more opportunities. So I chose to move, and when I moved, effectively I started at the bottom of the rung again, even though I've been back in the bank for about 10 years. Started in a whole new department. But it was the best move that I ever made, and that was a very conscious move, that I undertook for my own career.
Yeah, brilliant. So it was that understanding in terms of your own development that I'm going to have to take a back step to move forward again, rather than that straight direct line.
Oh, I think in the branch network there was a very structured progression path, and when you got to lending, you were sort of getting to the top end of that progression path. When I moved into a central office, which was still lending, whilst I was in there, I was starting on the junior level of lending. So whilst if I'd done that work in the branch, I would probably have been quite senior. Having moved into just a lending department, then you start off at a junior level. So a sideways move, but then a new direction to take.
Right, brilliant. So what makes you so passionate about your work, Sally? What is it?
Every day is unique. I've grown relationships, friendships. I have fun. I'm able to influence and inspire people. It just gives me so much opportunity to try new things, express new things. And like I said, every day is unique, and I can support people every single day. And I think it's that supporting people, be it colleagues or customers, that really gives me a buzz. It's just inspirational what you can do to help people and help the company deliver what the company needs to deliver.
Yeah, so you mentioned there that every day is unique and almost like a journey every day. And we always say, myself and Gemma, that developing a growth mindset is a journey. So why were you so keen to weave a growth mindset ethos within the core values of the business that you lead? Why was that something that you thought this would be really beneficial?
Because I think in industry, in organisations, you tend to get an awful lot of repeat ideas that come round on a regular basis. And when you've been in those organisations, you become quite attuned to the fact that these ideas come and go and then keep coming back round on a circular basis. And I could see that we were moving into a new era, but that new era would include a lot of things that we'd done in the past. And I really wanted the colleagues and the leaders to embrace it in a new way and not just go back to the old way of thinking on how we used to do things. Because the danger when you do that is everybody goes into an unconscious state, and that doesn't necessarily deliver that new thing you want to get from the old approach. So that really was the catalyst to wanting to look at how do we, through our leaders, inspire our colleagues to really want to make the most of something that might look like an old idea, but we needed a fresh approach and fresh results from it.
You know what, that's really quite reflective in terms of education as well, because when you think of my experiences as a teacher, you see things come and go, and you do end up with that attitude of, oh, it's the same thing coming round again, we'll deal with it in the same way as we always have, and it falls flat. So your approach in terms of, let's make people more aware of their mindset, because it's that they need to think about to develop that change that we want.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favourite phrases, my guys will tell you I've got lots of phrases, but one of my favourite phrases is, you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. And one of my past mentors told me that, and it's so true. You've got to change how you do things in order to get better results and different results. And people inherently are lazy. I'm extremely lazy. You'll verify that. And I think if you think you know how to do something without having to think any differently, then you will. So I say to my leaders every day, really, you should go home exhausted every day, not because of physical exertion, but the amount of thought you'll have had to put in every scenario in order to get the best results for each individual colleague and for each individual customer.
Yeah, that's one of those questions, isn't it? Every day, what made me really think hard today? You know, that sort of like growing your brain, flexible thinking, all that sort of thing. So since developing a growth mindset then, your journey started with myself and Gemma back in October 2018. So since starting the journey with your CSLs and your team leaders, have you seen a difference in terms of their personal development?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've come on leaps and bounds in that year. I mean, we've been very lucky in that we started with a strategy in 2018 that really moulded and developed with the way that the bank was going. So we started off with something quite unique for the department, but I do feel that it really complements the way that the organisation was going. And that was, if I'm honest, that was more luck than judgment, because it was just the way that I felt we passionately needed to do things. And I think that because we've had that level of consistency, people know it's not going away. So they are embracing things. We've done an awful lot of work with them. You hear the phraseology coming out all the time, and in an unconscious way now, rather than having to consciously think about it. And it's really fit with the way that the organisation has gone in focusing a lot on how we do things as opposed to just what we've achieved. And I think all of those things together have complemented it and really allowed us to see people grow. The amount of leaders that moved on from my business last year that I genuinely believe did so because they've given themselves a new opportunity to step back and reflect on themselves and where they wanted to go. And I'm quite proud of that. It might mean that we've had to develop new talent to come in and undertake leadership roles, but it's really meant that those leaders have embraced their own future development and not just sat back and become blockers for other people. They've needed to go and stretch themselves and go and do other things, and I'm really quite proud of it. Sometimes you can get bogged down in the same role and not really stretch yourself or challenge yourself to do something else because you think it's your comfort zone. But actually in operational management, you have to keep it fresh all the time. You can't keep doing the same things. Otherwise, everybody's impacted, not just yourself, but your colleagues and your customers as well. So, it's been a real eye-opener for me. And I know you've already interviewed Nick, but not just Nick, all of my CSLs have really embraced it, and the leaders. So, you know, I'm really proud of the journey we've been on.
And even though some of those leaders have gone on to new pastures, which leaves a gap for you to have to fill, that in itself has become an opportunity for you to even further develop your department, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. You like I said, you really do need to keep a movement of staff, colleagues within your department, so you can keep it fresh and bring fresh and young new ideas and exciting ideas into the business. There's nothing I love more than creativity and people bringing new ideas in. And like I said, sometimes when you've done the same job for a while, you stop to think about what it is that you can do differently. And I get as much energy from those guys as I do from any other part of my role.
That's really interesting, that, because the next question is linked to being a growth mindset leader. And talking to your CSLs and colleagues, they always say that Sally is such a growth mindset leader. And we look at different styles of leadership. And you've just said there that you love people's creativity, you love people bringing things to you to develop the business, which is a major part of being growth mindset leader. But what does that mean to you when you hear it from other people? What is it about you that you think has that perception of you as a growth mindset leader?
Anybody who's ever worked with me, from growing up, through school, through guides, through work, everybody says I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I absolutely do. So what can be my absolute strength is also my weakness, and I've been very aware of that from the very early days. And I think, so feedback is difficult because I naturally immediately react to the feedback that I'm being given. I can't help it. It's an involuntary reaction. It's like somebody hiccuping or blinking. It's just involuntary. But what I've learned to do over the years is try and get ahead of the feedback, so I know about it before somebody gives it me. And so I do a lot of reflection, and I think I'm quite empathetic. So I can spot it when people are about to tell me something. So I try to learn that way. But I think what I do, I think without exception, is I do listen to the feedback, and in very quick succession, I do something about it. And that can have its positives and its minuses, because sometimes, you know, an old mentor told me feedback is a gift, and it absolutely is. But if you try and react to every piece of feedback that you get, sometimes you can lose the essence of who you are, because feedback is just that. You know, just because one person doesn't like what you're doing doesn't mean to say that what you're doing is wrong. So, you know, I've been through stages in my career when I've absolutely embraced every piece of feedback and then just lost complete direction. So you have to be true to yourself, and you have to reflect on it and think, yeah, well, I get the feedback, but actually this is why I do it, and that's why I'm going to continue to do it. Or I get the feedback and I'm going to go and do something about that. So both of those are really important styles of being able to deal with feedback. Positive feedback, I'm not very good at getting at all. So it's like, all right, thanks a lot, and then just tumble off. It's lovely to get, and it does make you feel wonderful, but I'm not very good at receiving it.
But in terms of being a leader, it's the role modeling, isn't it? So it's nurturing your colleagues, allowing them to grow. There's no hierarchy in terms of pecking order. I mean, when me and Gemma come to the centres, you are one of the guys, and you say hello to everybody, no matter who they are, where their level is within the company. You interact with everybody, and there aren't many businesses where leaders do that. You could have leaders that don't even know who their staff are in some places.
Yeah. And it's really important to me. I remember I've been really fortunate working both for RBS and the co-op in the investment they've put into leadership over the years. So, you know, you do get exposed to different training styles, coaching styles. But I remember talking about Clive Woodward once, And one of his whole mantras when they won the World Cup was about every single person in his organisation making a difference, from the guy who did the kits all the way through to the players on the pitch. And for me, it's just about being a human being, and that, every single person plays a significant role in the organisation. It's really prevalent now with COVID. The amount of reliance we have now on our facilities staff and our guards, everybody from those colleagues all the way through to those colleagues who are dealing with some really challenging customer experiences. They all matter because they're all there to help us stay safe and protect each other. And it's just really important to me. We're human beings first and last, before we're ever leaders and colleagues and telephony operators. We're human beings, and I think it's about just respecting each other.
Fantastic. Well, that leads really to the future. I mean, when you think about where you are now and the journey that we've had the pleasure of being on with you, what do you envisage being the next steps to maintain that rhythm that we talk about, the pulse and that sustainability across the areas that you lead? So what would you like? Where would you like this to go, and what do you?
So I think the next step is the colleagues. So we focus so significantly on the leaders, and it's the right thing to do because we need to get our leaders to think differently, as I said before. Now we need to make it a sustainable structure within our teams that our colleagues buy into it as well. So we're setting up mindset mentors with your support, and I know Nick is leading on it now, and I'm really keen and passionate to see how that journey develops. And if I'm honest, I'm really leaving it to them to come up with their strategies and how they want to do it, but they'll get my full support. And clearly, if I've got my own thoughts, I'll let them know. It's my one. But yeah, so we're a very open organisation in terms of feedback. So I think all ideas can be improved on, and I'm sure they've got some great ideas coming forward to sort of land it with our colleagues. Clearly, everything is difficult at the moment with the present situation. Our normal coaching and training and teaching techniques have gone out the window with social distancing and remembering our colleagues who are having to isolate as well. So we need to think differently, but thinking differently isn't bad. And actually, there's a lot of creativity comes out of being forced to think in a different way. And there's a lot of things we've done over the last 12 weeks I know will become our new rhythm and ways of working. So yeah, it's up to the guys, but I think our colleagues and supporting them, and I'm hoping it really helps them with their own mental health well-being as much as anything else. And like I say, if they're enjoying coming into work because they're self-reflecting and being able to put everything into perspective, then we can all benefit from that.
Yeah, definitely. So how many colleagues then would you envisage joining us on the journey over the next 12 months, would you say? How many have you got?
So as I said before, I've got around 650 colleagues in all of my departments, and they'll all be given the opportunity.
Yeah.
The challenge you've got is when you get a bit of a wave of movement on things, sometimes colleagues have no choice but to join the journey because everybody else is on it. So
you also mentioned about your apprenticeship scheme and how to weave it into that as well. So it's not just the colleagues that you've got at the minute, it's those coming to you as well. Who was that?
Something's just blown over in the garden.
Oh, right.
I think it's probably the cat. Anyway, yeah, so I think one of the things I'm keen to do, both with the apprenticeships and with the training, is actually weave the thought process and how we approach all of our coaching activities with growth mindset, language and techniques. So I'm very lucky that I have an academy who bring all our new recruits through. So I want them to be hearing the language and experiencing it from the start. Likewise, we upskill our colleagues on new processes all the time, and I want it to be woven through that. And that will naturally fall into the apprenticeship activities. So yeah, for me, it's about it's the little things that you do, the interactions that you have, where it needs to be apparent and not forgotten. You do it in the little things, then the big things will take over, because it'll naturally weave into those. But it's the small things.
Yeah.
It's the 5-minute coaching session. It's the 15-minute huddle.
Yeah.
It's the the return to work discussion after somebody's been poorly. All of those moments of interaction, those opportunities to support your colleagues, are the important things that it needs to be woven through.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation, and what I'm really pleased at, we've not had any ambulances or chainsaws or any dogs barking whilst you're sat in your garden.
And it's not rained.
It's been brilliant. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure you will. And keep leading with a growth mindset. Fantastic.
Will do. Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.